Good morning, everyone. I am Harish Kadam, lecturer, Godaru Institute of Pharmacy, Kolpa, Latur. Welcomes you all. Today, we have our first webinar on a topic COVID-19 and work culture. For this, we have very renowned and eminent speaker, Professor Dr. Chandrasekhar Upasni sir, Principal, Sriman Suresh Jain College of Pharmacy, Sandwad. Before we start the session, I would like to invite Professor Dr. C.M. Jagmi sir to introduce Dr. Chandrasekhar Upasni sir.
Good morning to you all. Am I audible? Good morning to you all. On behalf of Godavari Institute of Pharmacy, Kolpa, Latur, I, Dr. Chandraprabhu Jangne, welcome you all for this webinar. Friends, as we know that since last 3 months, whole world is suffering from COVID-19 pandemic and everyone is at home. To overcome the current situation, this digital transformation in the educational sector has taken us to a new era. This coronavirus is teaching us a 360-degree shift. Every day, coronavirus is behaving in a different way. Similarly, education sector is experiencing new things, but it is said that show must go on, and we have to continue our teaching learning program along with fight against corona. And today's session is an attempt for the same. As our college is new in the region, established in 2017, and this digital platform is also new for us. But I am happy to state that today's speaker is not new to us. Rather, he is very well known to all of us. It's my proud privilege to introduce Honorable Professor Dr. Chandrasekhar Upasni sir, Principal, Sriman Suresh Dada Jain College of Pharmacy, Chandwad. He has completed his B.Pharm from Y.B. Chavan College of Pharmacy, Aurangabad in 1993, M.Pharm from Bharati Vidyapith, Pune College of Pharmacy, Pune in 1995, and PhD from the MS University of Baroda, Vadodara, Gujarat in 2001. He is having 24 years of academic experience. He has guided 52 M.Pharm and 16 PhD research scholars. He has received a research grant of rupees 108 lakhs from various funding agencies. He has published 62 national and 26 international research publications. He has organized various national and international conferences. He is having 1 patent and 9 books on his name. He is also honored a resource person for various national and international conferences, QIP, and workshops. He has been nominated as a member of Academic Council, Faculty of Science and Technology, Board of Studies in Pharmacology and Pharmacognosy, and Chairman, Board of Studies in Pharmacology at Savitribai Phule University, Pune. He has been nominated as member, Board of Studies in Pharmacy, Punyashlok Ahilya Devi Holkar, Solapur University, Solapur, Kaviyatri Bahinabai Chaudhary, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon, and member, Research and Recognition Committee at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Aurangabad. He is ex-coordinator, Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Savitribai Phule University, Pune. He is president of Association of Pharmacy Teachers of India, Maharashtra State. He is life member of IPA, Indian Pharmacological Association, Indian Pharmacy Graduate Association. He is a recipient of various prestigious awards. Honored with prestigious Bharati Vidyapith, Pune College of Pharmacies, Pharmacy Teacher of the Year 2019. Honored as member of National Academy of Medical Sciences by National Academy of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. Honored with prestigious N.N. Datta Prize for Best Paper at national level. Throughout his career, he has come out with as a best researcher, ideal teacher, great motivator, excellent administrator. Such an eminent and renowned speaker is here with us today. On behalf of Godavari Institute of Pharmacy, Kolpa, Latur, I once again welcome Professor Dr. Chandrasekhar Upasni sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Upasni sir to please start the session. Thanks. Okay.
So, thank you, Professor Chandraprabhu Jangne, and management of Godavari Shikshan Samstha College of Pharmacy. There was a phone call from Dr. Jung May regarding this webinar, and he was so excited to arrange these webinars for the people. So telephonically, he asked me on which topic you will like to talk. At that time, I told him that post-COVID-19 work culture. But he was clever enough to remove that post word, and he just put COVID-19 and work culture. So once it becomes COVID-19 and work culture, it is very difficult to talk on one particular point, because during this lecture it is expected that we should talk about what happened in this Okay, am I audible? Okay. So how we will be working with this COVID-19 situation? Many learned people are coming up with new ideas, new concepts. And as far as our education sector is concerned, especially higher and technical education, this sector has to deal with it on a mega scale, because we have to work, and we need to work, and we need to understand how to work with this COVID-19, because these viruses or these infectious viruses, they doesn't go normally. It remains for a long time. Its pre-effect, its effect, and its after effect will be there. So many sectors are going to get affected. How our sector will get affected, and how we should work. This is a attempt. I have tried to put maximum things in this presentation, and I'm sure each slide is one lecture, because there are so many situations, so many conditions, so many incidences are there which are necessary to be discussed with you. And with this type of discussion, we will be understanding how the problem is and how we are going to face it. It is very important that time and our life never stop. And it is also important that whatever lines are there on your hand, you cannot enjoy the happiness with the help of these lines only. There is a very good line on this. I remember there is a song from that Qatar Kader Ghusli, and there is one line that Talhatancha Reshani Swarga Sukaka Bhogi Puri. You cannot enjoy your life only with the help of the lines which are there on your hand, because you have to work hard to make yourself comfortable. You have to work hard to make yourself pleasurable, and you need to take everyone with you. Everyone wants to live his life with happiness and prosperity. And if you are a principal, if you are a HOD, if you are a professor, then there are so many people, those who are looking at you, and your principles, your gestures, and your support will make their life happy. This another line in that same song is Swayam Prakashi Tu Tara. You are a self-illuminating body. Chaitanyacha Gavara. You are the one who, if having positivity in your mind, you can fight with anything, and you can take along with you all your society, your family, and if every one of us tries to understand the situation properly and if work positively, whole nation will go ahead, and we don't have to worry about COVID-19. Of course, if we take proper care and precautions. So I'm starting with this. I'm starting my presentation. Our roadmap will be impact of COVID-19 pandemic on Indian education or worldwide, how it is causing some problems, what are the challenges that are with us, and what are the opportunities we have. So with this, you might have understood this presentation will be a huge type of presentation. There are so many things included. We will talk on each of the principle in detail somewhere, sometime. But we need to understand that impact of this COVID-19 pandemic on Indian education system, how it is, worldwide, how it is. So it will be, you will be surprised to know that it has impacted continuity of learning of around 1.3 to 1.5 billion students across the planet and 285 million young learners in India. It has significantly disrupted the higher education sector, which is critically determinant of a country's economy and economic future. So we were thinking about all the possibilities to work, to continue our education sector, to continue our working. So a one point came in front of us, one option came in front of us, that was online education, and is being taken up in a big way. Even our Honorable PM has given a special consideration in his economic package, whatever he has declared, and Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she has proposed that almost 100 universities, first 100 universities of our country can take up this task. So there are so many questions about availability of technology and all those things. But again, when there is a problem, there is a solution. And a solution came that we can use radio, televisions for this purpose. We can add some more educational channels in the television, because our DD National service, it is free of cost, free to air to everyone. So DD National, supposedly, if adding the channels to its package, which will be free to everyone, that the television itself will be a lecturer. And virtually, we have almost every home, we have a television. And if those channels are being added, say for example, one channel for DD Pharmacy, DD Engineering, DD Mechanical Engineering, or DD Architect, and on those channels, if continuous series of lectures, supposedly 3 lectures in a day or 4 lectures in a day, if goes like this, so it can really work nicely. So those channels will be added to that, and it will be of great help to the students, especially staying in a rural area. And you know, it is very surprising, and you will also agree with me that children or kids or youngsters, they are just loving technology like anything. And the students are more techno savvy, and they use this technology very effectively as compared to we people. So many universities have been asked and allowed to begin the online courses, education through online courses and all those. What are the challenges So are the challenges. These are the thoughts of various educationists all over the globe. You may agree suddenly, or you may not. You may disagree also with this thought. But the thoughts which we like and thoughts which we are considering important, I have taken those thoughts here. Each thought can be debated, and on each thought you can make one presentation, and you can concentrate on every thought in this way. So what are the challenges? The fundamental structural change in the curriculum is first challenge, because we have to accommodate the course without losing the standard and content, and should attract the student. So curriculum, whatever we have, right? In that curriculum, we have to give weightage to the online teaching learning process, online technology embedded process. Maybe artificial intelligence, maybe something is involved. If it is involved, if you make the curriculum attractive, then definitely student will like. Along with that, we have to go for skill development. It should be a part of curriculum. So students now, right now we are giving BPharm degree or diploma in pharmacy degree. How much skill we impart in them, how skillful those people are, we know that. So we have to increase that, and that will help if we make our education skill based. If we add skill package into the current education also, the students will automatically start thinking that we can become entrepreneur. Secondly, many business communities are there, maybe Tata, maybe Reliance, maybe any kind of community. They can play a leading role into this new education system. How they will play an important role? Say, for example, they shall take part in education sector for value addition. Any pharmaceutical industry, if declaring that we want such type of technocrats, those should have basic knowledge of pharmacy, basic knowledge of physics or chemistry, along with some skills in skill education in this type of instrument. And if they come forward, if they try to help the students and academic institutions, definitely this will be a collaborative type of thing, and they will get technically strong people in a short period of time. They can have a centers. It is a very good example of one thing which we have in our institution, that in our polytechnic we have a Bosch Artisan Center. Bosch is a company which manufactures many electric material. So this company has prepared its own center in our polytechnic college. Students from our polytechnic or MCVC course, or even those who are dropout students from 10th or 12th, those students are also taking admission here, and they are learning the skill which is required for Bosch industry. And Bosch industry is taking those students directly as a worker in their industry with this artisan center. So these centers across the country to support the skill development activity, and if these centers are erected or these centers are established, this will be very helpful for the students. Then common infrastructure development in all sectors is also equally important. There is one thing. This Dr. Francisco Marmolejo, who is an advisor to the Qatar Foundation in India, he has quoted that higher education in India should be redesigned. It should be flexible. It should be more innovative. Make it international. Simultaneously, but it should be locally connected and socially responsible, more collaborative and less risk averse. If this kind of changes we incorporate, then definitely it is helpful. Say for example, on research front, we should have a collaborative type of research, not a competitive research. Collaborative research and competitive research, these are self-explanatory terms. Projects should be designed and conducted through shared facilities. The facilities which are present in my institution shall be open to all, and facilities which are available in some other institution, they should also be open to all. Or rather, I'll say that supposingly you people are located in Latur district, you all principals come together, and if you decide that whatever sophisticated instrument you are going to purchase, every institute should purchase a different instrument, so that student of every college will be benefited. You can have that facility in your area. So there should be a collaborative type of activities. So projects should be designed and conducted through shared facilities. Some students are very quick in adopting this system, and some take a little longer time to acquaint with this system. But you are the teacher, you are the motivator for them. You can ask them to take part in such activities. Most important thing is every student's home should become its institute. If every student, whatever study area he is having, if that student makes that area as an institute, it will be very helpful for online education system. And family members also shall take part, active part, in making the study feasible. So technology in education alone will not be the enabler. This is also important to understand. Say for example, the concerned institutes where the books are scarce, and many of the students or their parents are often functionally illiterate. They do not know the importance of books. We can have to make them work. We can make them to study those books and read through books. Even at Harvard or even at our IIM and IITs, maybe about how new technologies can help transform education. In India, it will be first have to be about how much tool we can help, how much tool can help the education system function at the basic level. Change on the way, but those in pivotal positions will have to ensure that its benefits percolate to benefit to all. Then technology will be about the content and not the container. What do you mean by this? The greater value will be placed on the content of course. Greater value will be placed on the content of the skill development and how the content is used, rather than on any one particular device. The future education is in the content, not the container. You are having very good building, you are having very good classroom, and if the teachers are not teaching well or students are not understanding, so that will be very difficult. So content is important. Syllabus also, while framing the syllabus, you should take care that you should have a strong content in that. It's also about connections and communities. That means students collaborating with each other, teachers supporting other students also. We practice this activity in our institute way before this COVID-19 system or COVID-19 pandemic. Since 10 years, we are practicing this activity. Any student from any college coming to my institute for any sort of help, whether use of instrument, whether design of project, whether carrying out any research activity, we help the student free of cost. We welcome them. If any student coming with any problem, we make it a point that the student should be helped. So the student will become technically strong. The student will get his degree and will go into the profession. And such student, they will never forget the help done by other institutions. And those students, they also try to help the other students, those who are going to them. So this is a chain of goodness. This chain of goodness, it should go without any interruption. And the technologies can help enables, catalyze it and support well in the future. There is one Matthew effect will have to be anticipated and mitigated. A Matthew effect in an educational technology. What is that? Those who are most able to benefit from introduction of technology, example, children with educated parents and good teachers who live in a prosperous community, etc., are indeed the one who actually benefit the most. Just because investment in educational technology use are justified by rhetoric claiming that such use will benefit the poor doesn't mean that this will actually happen. In fact, the opposite may well occur. This is something important. A rich community or technically strong community or people, those who are staying in some advanced urban areas, they have the technology and they only can use it best and others cannot use it. This is not the case. So we can start that chain. This is also very important. FOBO, FOMA and bulldozer parents will intensify. And this is what we are observing this thing in many urban areas. This generation is called as Generation Z. These are grown up in a truly globalized and connected world. Usually a 25-year-old or less in age, they face various problems. What are those problems? Like cancelled exam. Till today, we don't know whether there will be exam or they are not going to conduct the exam. There is a shortened school terms or their college term, postponed sporting events, and even delayed graduation will be trouble to both. FOBA, those who are having fear of being alone, because students, they are staying alone. They are staying with, though they are staying with parents, but they are not staying in their educational environment. They are staying at home and they don't know what is going to happen. Or there may be a FOMO, fear of missing out. Like supposedly there is a online exam and if I miss it, sometime that network doesn't work, something goes wrong, what will happen? So they have that fear also. So education will have to address the loneliness, remote learning, as well as the distress of loss of opportunities. These students, they don't know. Even my son is in final year PE. Now he doesn't know whether there will be exam, whether there will be online exam. He is having that fear of what? Of that multiple choice exam. Because multiple choice exam, if conducted, it is all or none. If the student is giving ticking answer A, if it is right, he will get full mark. If it is not, he will get 0. Instead of that, if there is a descriptive type of question, if student is writing 2 pages, the teacher usually evaluator gives him 1, 2, 3, 5 marks. Even if, so these are the fears. My son doesn't know whether he will get a service, whether further education is important, or should start his job, whether he will get job. One of my friend's daughter, she is having a letter in her hand, but that company has informed that you contact us in August. So these are all the tensions, and these are all the things which distress this community. Secondly, emergence of more protective, pushy bulldozer parent. What do you mean by bulldozer parent? The way the bulldozer, it makes the road ready for our vehicles. Likewise, the parents, they will take care of their kids. They will be so possessive about their kids that my kid should not come across any problem and this thing, that thing, and they will make everything ready for them. Who will try to propel this generation A, the children of current millennial parents, moving all obstacles out of their way. Parents themselves, they work for that, removing of obstacles out of their way to create a clear path for their entitled kids, making out as if nothing is really happened in the world around us. This will create another impact on the minds of the students. They will not be able to face their problems on their own. They will not be able to solve their issues on their own because parents are helping them. So this is also one of the problem associated with that. Then distance learning courses may not be considered inferior. Now this is one of the opportunity as well as challenge also. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, in the test, they have conducted one test involving 15-year-old kids across 31 nations. Some years ago, found that students who used computers had both lower reading and math scores. What do you mean by that? So this is also one of the things. The Reboot Foundation, in the study conducted in June 2019, found that the more they used computer screens in schools, right, the lower the nation's rank in educational achievement. This is also one of the findings. Earlier, my father could rattle off maths tables up to 50. Even I at the age of 50 and many people of my age, we had a habit to learn the tables, and we can calculate, we can make a maths summation or addition, deletion very quickly. But my generation managed up to 30. My son's classmates, they are happy to know their tables up till 10, and their calculator are ever handy for more. Going forward, some old skills will be shared and newer learnings will take their place. But we need to make a good combination of both. Your brain is active if you make it work. There are certain things that we will discuss later. Blended learning and personalized education is also will be another issue. There will be a great opportunity to develop new forms of blended education. That will be in much demand nowadays. And therefore, in our University Act also, Maharashtra University Act 2016, in that act, we have new faculty that is called as interdisciplinary faculty. There is a separate dean post available for that interdisciplinary faculty. So this blended education is also important thing. Mature adult learners in the future will be more and more interested in micro credentials, and which allow them to acquire specific knowledge and skill. Because we know that only BPharm degree or MPharm degree is not enough for getting a good job. So we need to have something more. And what is that? That is micro credential. Some skill, some technique has to be adopted, has to be learned properly. So that technique, that skill will make that person important in that organization. A lot of this will be self-learning, that too self-motivated and self-funded. Adult learners will also spend more on passion learning, on their hobbies or skills they always wanted to acquire, but they do not have much time. With lesser travel, lesser likely socializing, and greater work from home culture, there will be more time for such learning intelligence. Learning outcome versus informed citizenry. This is also important. With the shift of online and blended education likely to continue beyond COVID-19 also and become permanent also, it will fundamentally transform the structure of education system. At stake will be the monumentally important issues of very purpose of education system in society. Should this role be restricted solely enhancing learning outcomes and creating a cadre of skilled professionals? Or should it have a more expensive obligation to deepen democracy by producing an informed citizenry that is aware of its right and possesses the capability to exercise the tools of democracy for a societal progress? So these are the questions, these are the challenges. The time will tell about it. Reskilling and upskilling will gain a momentum here. What is reskilling and upskilling? Often during the recession, enrollment in higher education surges as more people lose their jobs and or face a lack of job prospectus. Say for example, B.Pharm students not getting job, he will try to upskill himself. He will go to M.Pharm. M.Pharm student supposedly not getting good job opportunity, so he will think that instead of going for a job, I will complete my PhD, or I will complete my MBA, or I will complete some other course. So that course will help me to go to the better job. So this is upskilling. Everybody will think to upskill himself. Even those employed often see economic downsides as an opportunity to enroll back in the institutes if they were already in lower paying jobs. It may happen that those who are working in industry also, they will go for some other education, online education, because online education will give them the platform. The person is working in an industry, if goes home, the person can continue with his studies, which is available online on his computer, on his net, and he can do that. And here, artificial intelligence will play an important role. What is artificial intelligence? I basically, personally, I am not in much favor of this artificial intelligence, just because our kids, they require calculator even for a smaller addition. Even for 2-digit, 3-digit addition, they need calculator. But we do not, because we have learned those tables. We are strong enough in that. But if a proper amalgamation of artificial intelligence and natural intelligence, if made, this will going to be a great combination. One size fit to all approach. Traditional approach was one size fit to all. That means we have one syllabus of your university. Say for example, your college comes in Nanded University. Nanded University is having one syllabus for, say, pharmacology subject of 3rd year. Whatever student's mentality is, whatever intelligence level is, that student is supposed to learn that particular syllabus only. And he has to appear in that particular exam only. The question paper, which is one, All the students will appear for that question paper, will write the answers, and he will declare pass or fail. But this approach we need to change now, depending upon the intellectual level of a person. Those who are fast learners, slow learners, these terminologies have been successfully used in our new education policy also. New education policy is considering that with this artificial intelligence, with current technological resources also, combining these technological resources, we need to go to Nalanda and Takshashila. There was no classroom at all in Nalanda and Takshashila. Student used to stay with the teacher for 24 hours. Teacher used to teach them whatever as per his mood and as per his liking. In 19th century, we introduced this classroom teaching. There was a class, all the students sitting in that class, and teacher is telling to all the students in the same frequency, same intelligence, and in the same manner, irrespective of intellectual level of a student. But with the help of this successful use of artificial intelligence, we can make those fast learners to learn fast. There are cloud computing enabled MOOC courses, NPTEL courses, and all other courses are also available for people like us. I am very much happy to tell you that my faculty members, especially Aman Upaganlawar and all other people, they are continuously going for these courses, NPTEL courses, certificate courses, just to increase their knowledge, just to increase their vocabulary, just to be in touch with the current trends. So these massive open online courses, they are there, NPTEL courses are there. So these are the courses which will empower the teacher as well as the student in the remote areas to learn with the latest knowledge and technology. Tutoring applications will be modified with their lesson structure relying upon the execution of one of a kind of user profile, and you can decide. There are so many courses available. AI and machine learning is also equally important. I'll tell you a fantastic story. This examination and grading also, AI will help in that. Nowadays we are doing that. In Pune University, majority of things are going online. We are pulling the marks online, evaluating the papers online, and we are putting those marks to university website or their portal, and they are preparing those results very fast. So this AI also help, and this will definitely change the system to a maximum level. This is that story. There is in University of Murcia in Spain, they started this particular experiment. A artificial intelligence enabled robot. It is for virtual assistant system. But that robot used to talk with the student, and it is they have named it as chatbot. Robot who can chat is chatbot. So the result is given here. 38,708 questions were answered correctly by that chatbot. When the students were used to stay in hostel, they were not in active learning process. After completing their college, when they are going to the hostel, the chatbots used to roam in that particular vicinity, and students used to ask them questions, whatever difficulty, and these robots used to answer their difficulty. And it is really surprising that 38,708 questions were answered correctly more than 91% of the time. At this accuracy, these robots are working. Not only was the chatbot able to provide immediate answer to the students outside of the regular office or office hours or college hours, the chatbot increased students' motivation also. You just imagine somebody is staying with you who can answer your all questions. And when the person is answering your all questions, you will become more motivated. Your enthusiasm will work there, and you will try to ask some more questions. You will try to clarify your issues or topics quickly with the help of that ready tutor available. So this type of newer advances also will be coming into the education system. This effective education will witness a sea change. I tell you, there will be a huge change in the education system. And we, being a teacher, I hope majority of teachers are attending this program. So teachers they have to learn this technology, and they have to prepare their mindset to work with such online technologies. The global university-based executive education market is worth close around $2 billion in 2019, but this can increase more. Right? So Israel, Qatar, Europe, even Germany, they are continuously upgrading themselves in these technologies, and they are continuously coming with this. Now, what are the opportunities? This is very important as far as our discussion is concerned. The country like India, we have a very good opportunity to strengthen the internet connectivity across the rural area. And once this facility is strengthened, we can create miracle here. Every village and town in India should be digitally connected for better interaction between the students and the teacher. Education can become international when you are putting in a net. So it naturally goes international. Skill development, if made as a part of education system, will definitely increase the ability of the students to convert into entrepreneur. This can beat unemployment and increase business skills amongst the youth. This will reduce the demand for the infrastructure of the institution. Right? We are working in a pharmacy. We know we need to have a lab of around 75 square meter. We need to have classroom of around 66 square meter. And if it is going online, there is no need of this. So infrastructural demand will decrease, though laboratory function will be very important in that. Research collaboration can go online and can be internationalized. To transform higher education and internationalization of higher education is the important thing here. And we have formulated this word EduGuru, E-Guru. So we are on the verge of transforming ourselves as E-Guru. We need to learn this technology, and we need to make best use of this technology. So e-gurus need to adapt to evolving technology-centered teaching, establish themselves as a competent individuals who can what the student expect, active in research and research publications, and gain experience skills in this online teaching. Faculty needs to be motivated and actively involved in curriculum integration. Experienced faculty will strengthen the academic and research foundation. Education is a continuous and evolving process, and there is no retirement for those who are having ability to render their expertise. So we need not have to worry that we will be retiring at 60. You are not going to retire in this e-education era. If you are a good orator, if you are a good speaker, if you can explain the things very well, students are going to refer to you. A large number of Indian students, those who are enrolling in universities abroad, especially in the countries worst affected in this pandemic like US, UK, Germany, Australia, China, many such students have now been barred from leaving these countries. If the situation persists, in a long run, a decline in the demand for international higher education is expected. And when there will be a decline in the demand, when our students are not ready, suppose they are not getting chance to go to UK, US for their further education, they will expect that here in India, they should get good education. Now, this is one slide just to substantiate whatever I was telling. Firstly, when I was a student, that time didactic type of pedagogy was there. There is one classroom, one teacher is telling, and we are just obeying. And now it is a reflexive pedagogy. This is new learning. Right? This is something called as ubiquitous learning. Anywhere, anytime, anyhow, because it's available in your mobile, it is available on your internet. And these are the differentiating points. So this new year learning or reflexive type of pedagogy is nothing but it will encourage the learning intentions of the students to a large level, because it's a ubiquitous learning, active knowledge making, that multi-model meaning is there, recursive feedback available there, collaborative intelligence is also there, then metacognition is also there, then differentiated learning is also there. So these are the opportunities we have. But in our previous classroom type of one-to-one learning, the didactic pedagogy, these facilities or these possibilities were not available. So an agenda for new learning and assessment, there are 7 principles. Those just now I have discussed. And this book like this, E-Learning Ecologies, Principles for New Learning and Assessment, edited by Bill Cope, is such type of books will be very helpful in evaluating our system. So in short, the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of education. And this is told by great Martin Luther King Jr. So we need to understand the difference between Shikshak and Upadhyaya also. Here I would like to give my message to all the principals and HODs and superior staff, senior staff, is that they should give a conducive atmosphere for their juniors, because remember one thing, do not forget one thing, the younger the student, the younger the faculty is more techno-savvy, and they know more detail, in n number of details about this technology than us. So there is very good saying or a clip from Chanakya Niti I have brought for you. I will share that clip for you.
ये धनुष देख रहे हैं आप, प्रत्यंचा इसका एक अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण भाग होती है, क्योंकि संधान किए हुए बाण को ये प्रत्यंचा ही अपने लक्ष्य तक पहुंचाती है, परंतु बाण अपने लक्ष्य तक पहुंचे इसके लिए प्रत्यंचा को पीछे जाना हमारे नीचे कार्य करते हैं, वो लक्ष्य तक पहुंचने में हमारी सहायता तभी कर सकते हैं जब हम स्वयं पीछे हटकर उन्हें आगे आने का अवसर और अपनी प्रतिभा दिखाने, परंतु ढील देने के साथ साथ प्रत्यंचा को तना हुआ भी रहना ही पड़ता है, अन्यथा बाण वेग नहीं लेता। जिनसे कार्य करवाना, उन्हें थोड़ी स्वतंत्रता दो, परंतु साथ साथ थोड़ा कठोर बर्ताव भी आवश्यक। अधिक ढील दी तो लक्ष्य तक नहीं पहुंच सकोगे। या मेरी नियति आप।
So this clip was explaining a story, right? If you want to hit a arrow properly, you need to stretch that thread of a bow, and the more you stretch the bow, the more speedily that arrow will go. But it requires a kind of aim and objective also. So we senior, we don't know that technology too much. So the one who knows that technology should come forward, and we should allow them to come forward, and we should allow them to experiment more. Only thing is, you senior, you try to keep an eye on that. The thing should not go wrong. This should be the motivation, intent, and motivate all our juniors, all our people, those who can do that. So this is what I wanted to tell. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Chanme and Godavari Shikshan College, Pharmacy College, given me this opportunity to talk with you. If there are any questions, it is most welcome. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chandrasekhar Upasni sir. It was really a very informative session. It was really great experience for us. We learned a lot of new things, which will be definitely beneficial for everyone. It has resolved so many queries of participants, including me and our faculty. Sir, we have received so many questions from participants. I would like to ask, can I?
Yes, please, go ahead.
All these are related to online education. So what are the main drawbacks of online work culture?
Okay. So as I have told you, artificial intelligence, right?
Okay.
That artificial intelligence is nothing but an online education system what we are going to develop.
Okay.
How we develop it, that is very important. So drawbacks of online education system is that student will not be disciplined much. Indisciplined approach will come. Here they have to come to the college at 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock. They have to remain here for up to 6 o'clock. So that type of discipline will not be there. Student will have access to that lectures, practicals, or whenever he wants, and whenever he is having time, he will try to listen to that. But when it will come to performance, at that time, I have a doubt that performance of the student may get reduced because of these liberties what he is going to get through online education. This is first problem. Second problem is this technology, availability of technology. If we create this technology very well, if we establish this technology very well, then only it is possible. Even today, the debate is going on amongst the government and government office that whether online exam has to be taken or not to be taken, or now exam has to be taken or not to be taken. So these are technological problems, technological issues will be there initially. But one thing let me tell you, this young generation, they learn these things very fast. I have used computer first time when I was in M.Pharm, second semester. That time I have touched the computer keypad. Now, even a boy of 1 year old is having access to that computer. So that access is there. So naturally, these people will be highly techno savvy, and more over time, many a time it will happen that they know technology better than us. So we will be lacking in our technical skills as compared to them.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sir, okay, theory session will be completed with the help of internet or online. But what about practicals as far as pharmacy course is concerned?
Practical also we will see once this artificial intelligence and once this online education system will come, the practical demo can be shown on video. But for learning those skills, the student has to come to the laboratory. So you cannot replace laboratories. This is what I told in my presentation. Laboratories are indispensable. You have to go to the laboratory, how to hold the animal, right? You will have to learn by holding the animal only. You cannot hold a model of an animal,
Okay.
right? Because there is a large difference between living animal and a model of an animal.
Okay. Okay, one another question. As compared to offline learning, online learning is not giving confidence. What is your opinion as far as this confidence part is concerned?
No. Online learning will give a lot of confidence even to the teachers and the student. I tell you a small example. Supposedly you are conducting a class, right? Student may have 10 questions in his mind about whatever you are teaching. But the student is fearful. He may not ask you all the 10 questions. But in online classes, there will be a chat box. Like that, we have a chat box in our Google Meet. Right? You can put a message. In that chat box, the student will post his all 10 questions. And you will have to answer those 10 questions. So this will be a very effective learning, in fact.
Okay, sir. Just wait.
भाऊ में एका लेक्चर मध्ये if any, is there any question? Yes. Shri Jeet is telling that online education system will have a internet issue or network issue. Yes, it will be there for some time, but very soon that issue will also be taken care, because government and technology minister, they are having a will to come over this problem. And that was a very good move when our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman has told that 12 more channels will be added to DD National. Right? We have DD Bharati, DD National, then DD Oriya, then all regional language of Doordarshan. Likewise, pharmacy channel, engineering channel. Why it should not be there? All the lectures will be available. Video lectures of all the syllabus will be available with them. They will go on running that. Any other question?
Just a minute. Sir, one question. As so many pharmacy institutions are private, what will be the effect of COVID-19 on pharmacy faculties of private college?
Yes. Even I am working in private college, so I can answer this question better. See, as far as pharmacy colleges are concerned, we don't have to worry much because this COVID-19 pandemic has told world only two things. What are the most important things are there in one's life is his health and his food. Unfortunately, pharmacy profession is dealing with the health sector. Understand?
Okay.
So many of the students, those who are passing their 12th standard now, the parents of the students and even students themselves also will be willing to go for paramedical or medical type of education, because now by now everybody has understood one thing very surely, that health is very important, and those who are working in health sector are going to get a lot of money out of that. Now you can see that even the ventilator or even a simple medical shop owner also is selling hundreds, thousands of masks in a day. So health sector is not going to get affected. So pharmacy colleges, as far as admission is concerned, there will not be any problem. Yes, the problem will be how much the faculty is getting.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to change the mentality of our trustee, of our organizers, right? And we need to motivate the teachers, and once the teacher is motivated by his emoluments or by his technical skill, he will motivate many large number of students, and your students will go into the profession happily. So pharmacy colleges as such will never have any problem on this earth anytime.
Thank you very much, sir. Uh,
I am seeing Dr. Dama also.
okay.
Dama is also listening.
Okay, he is there. He is there. Yes, thank you, sir. On behalf of Godavari Institute of Pharmacy, Kolpa, Latur, I'm very much thankful to Dr. Chandrasekhar Upasni, sir, for accepting our invitation and delivering wonderful webinar on COVID-19 and work culture. I'm also thankful to our management for encouraging us to organize this series of webinar. I'm also thankful to my technical team. Very, very special thanks to all my dear participants for their generous support. Without your involvement, it would not have been possible to achieve this grand success. Thank you so much. One special instruction, kindly note, you will receive feedback link, and after submission, you will get certificate within 3 working days. So tomorrow we have another session on the topic COVID-19 and psychological health by Professor Dr. Neeraj Vyavare, Principal, Dr. D.Y. Patil College of Pharmacy, Akurdi, Pune. I expect same kind of cooperation and support for coming up webinar. Thank you very much, Dr. Upasni, sir. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.